What's up internet people? So in today's video I'm going to be doing 100 things I did in the last year. It's really interesting to look back and see kind of like how much of a whirlwind my life was. I had to basically relearn self-love and how to treat myself well. I mostly did that through travel and reconnecting with old friendships. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video. I dyed my hair a lot. I went blonde, silver, lavender, blue and purple, purple and pink, rainbow. I started getting really into tattoos after I designed my first one that I got at Bang Bang Studios in New York. I started painting again. I started doing yoga again regularly and created a sankalpa, which is an intention set by my heart. I went to Bonaire on a scuba diving trip. I swam with turtles, octopus, stingrays, and all the fishies. I saw the horizon flash green during sunset. I met a mutual friend on a boat while diving. I saw the comedian Theo Von and I met him after the show and told him Vietnamese people are friends, not food, and my brother and I gave him a shirt that said this as well. I got my scar covered up by my second tattoo. I celebrated my workplace's 10-year anniversary. I went to Iceland. I relaxed at the Blue Lagoon. I walked behind a waterfall. I saw lots of rainbows. I walked on a glacier. I spent 2 nights looking for the northern lights and then I found them. I went to some black sand beaches and I saw the rock formation from Game of Thrones, and I collected this little rock because legend has it that if you bring some of those rocks back with you, then eventually you'll return to that beach. I stood on one tectonic plate and looked out at another. I went to some hot springs, and then after I was in the hot springs, I went into ice cold water. I went to London, England and met a cool stranger who was playing piano outside of King Cross Station. He was saving up money to buy a grand piano. I reconnected and visited friends that I met in Fiji 3 years ago. I even got to meet their families and watch football games with them, try English tea, try Weetabix, try brown sauce, and all these other UK snacks. My friend took me on a tour of St. Andrews, Scotland. In Scotland, I also went to Inverness, Isle of Skye, and the fairy pools. In Edinburgh, I hiked halfway up Arthur's Seat before it got dark, so someday I hope to go back and hike it fully. I spontaneously flew to Dublin, Ireland. I went to the Giant's Causeway. I walked across this scary rickety bridge. I flew to Japan and went to Yokohama and saw a flower festival at Yamashita Park. I went surfing in Kamakura. I went to a hedgehog cafe in Tokyo. I went to Ueno Park. I went to Hakone and saw Mount Fuji. I went to Fuji Kawaguchiko and watched the stars while bathing in an onsen. I went to Hirosaki Park in Aomori and saw the Sakura festival during the day and at night. I went to CHOFU to meet up with some Japanese friends that I met in New Zealand 3 years ago. And we painted pottery and ate ice cream and soba and learned about GEGEGE no KITARO things and other yokai things. I went to Ashikaga Flower Park and looked at all the wisteria with some friends. I went to NARA Park with a stranger that I met on the train and we fed the deer together and looked at temples. I coincidentally ran into some friends from high school in Osaka and we celebrated the changing of eras together with some friends who speak English in Japan from this bar called Bar JJ. I went to Kobe to see a waterfall. I won one of those claw machine games in Osaka and I brought my prize to Osaka Castle and took pictures with it. I went to a dumpling festival. I flew to Shanghai on a transit visa and I only stayed for less than 6 days to hang out with a friend who lives there from high school and go sightseeing. I flew through Seattle on a 12-hour layover and my friend showed me around. We went biking, we ate some breakfast food, and it was really fun. I went to Salt Lake City to do a road trip. I hiked Hanging Lake in Colorado. I did my first ever nighttime hike in Arches National Park and I got to see Delicate Arch at sunrise. I went ATVing in Moab, Utah. I went to Bryce Canyon National Park. I conquered my fear of heights during the Angel's Landing hike in Zion National Park. I hadn't showered in 7 days, so I bathed in this river that has over 1 million tons of dirt go through it every year. I went to Las Vegas during EDC weekend and I got to see Steve Aoki, and I stayed at Hostel Cat, which is one of my favorite hostels to this day. I did acroyoga for the first time with one of the other people staying at the hostel. I came back home to Boston and got a job promotion. I went to Boston Calling Music Festival and I met a lot of cool people. At Memoir, which is a club just outside of Boston at the casino, I saw Elephante live for the first time and I met him after the show and he signed my ribs with his logo and I told him I would get that tattooed on me. I didn't do that yet, but maybe someday I will. I went to the Color Factory in New York. I started listening to BTS and I became an ARMY. I went to the Line Friend store in New York. I got my 3rd tattoo in East Village at Red Baron Ink. I went to Guatemala and I explored Guatemala City for the first time by myself, and I met a really cool biker gang and I saw lots of cool art. This was my 2nd trip to Guatemala with my company called Serengeti, and the 1st year doing it in this new job position. On September 1st, I spontaneously decided to hike Mount Washington, and I woke up at 3 a.m. so that I could get to the mountain. I did my first long solo hike, which was like about 4 hours, and I got lost during it. I got 2 tattoos on Friday the 13th. I saw Chris Brown live at a concert in Boston. I went to North Carolina for a weekend to visit one of my friends that I met in Guatemala. Together we hiked Mount Mitchell, which is the tallest mountain east of the Mississippi. I saw ELEPHANTE again live at a different club. I dyed my hair rainbow and I was in a hair fashion show. I did a lot of fall hiking, pretty much one hike every weekend for 8 weeks. I ran my first 5K, which was a costume 5K. I went to New York to stay with an old friend from high school who just got a new puppy. I celebrated Thanksgiving in my childhood home and it was snowing. I showed my friend from California how to shovel because she had never shoveled snow before and it was her first time. I got 5 more tattoos on the next Friday the 13th. 3 of them I was happy with, 2 of them I was kind of unhappy with. 2 of them are also BTS tattoos. I celebrated Christmas with my family snowboarding in Vermont. I went to an alpaca farm in Vermont as well. I quit my full-time job in preparation to move to Japan. Even though I didn't have a job or a visa yet, I was planning to go over there and just figure it out during the 90-day stay without a visa. On my way over to Asia, I celebrated New Year's Eve with my friend's family in LA. This family treated me so well and they pretty much became my family as well, and they gave me a Korean name, which is BORA. In Korean that means purple, and even though they didn't know about my love for BTS yet, I got to hold an octopus at Santa Monica Pier because this fisherman caught it and let me hold it. I flew to Osaka again and met up with a friend that I had met during the last trip. I biked from Kyoto to Arashiyama, but the bikes were so small that our legs cramped up and we had to walk back, and it was like nighttime as we were walking. I went to Iwatayama Monkey Park. I ate fresh seafood at Kuromon Market. I reunited with a friend that I haven't seen in 4 years in Osaka, and together we went to Namba Station to watch the light illumination. I went to Seoul, Korea for the first time, and I went to 3 different Line Friend stores and the BT21 cafe. I got a tattoo in Korea to fix one of the tattoos I got on Friday the 13th that I didn't really like that much. I went to Cebu Islands in the Philippines for the first time and we went to some waterfalls. I was traveling with my brother and he actually got in a motorbike accident, and thankfully he's okay, but he had to go to the emergency room there and get stitches done, which was mostly free except for the medicine. This was a very interesting experience. I'm really glad he's okay, but it changed our trip plans, and instead of me staying in Asia for the next 3 months, I decided to go back home. As a layover from the Philippines back to Boston, we went to Singapore for the first time. We went to Gardens by the Bay and saw a light show. We came back to Boston to get my brother's stitches out, and at this time the coronavirus just started to spread, so it's actually a good time for us to leave Asia. I scored tickets to the BTS Map of the Soul 7 tour. We sold my childhood home and I moved out. I got a temporary job at a restaurant and I celebrated my birthday doing karaoke with my coworkers. I started studying Japanese again and I haven't given up on my hopes of going there. As the coronavirus pandemic spread, I became unemployed. So that pretty much wraps up this entire year. I got the inspiration for this video from a video by Jacob Tansey, who is a YouTuber who is on the JET program right now in Japan. I don't think I've ever talked about this on YouTube, but 2 years ago, as I was getting out of college, I applied and was accepted into the JET program, which allows English native speakers to go to Japan and live there and teach English. They contract you for 1 to 5 years, so at the time I was just going through some personal things that I felt like I needed to finish up before I moved. So in the past 2 years, kind of post-grad, I've been asking myself those existential life questions like, who am I? What am I doing? What do I want to be doing? But I also come from a society where I feel like a lot of America is like this, but there's kind of like this expectation that a specific life path, which is conventional, which is basically like going to school and then graduating from a college and then getting a full-time job right away that you kind of stay with for a long time. I feel like, at least for me personally, sometimes when you don't really fit into that mold, it's hard to feel like anybody else understands what you're going through. And even though it was a time of self-reflection and self-discovery for me, I felt like I also was dealing with so much self-doubt and kind of like, why can't I just be happy, you know, doing this path that I thought that I was gonna be doing? And I think in my head, I kind of felt like if I didn't have this specific job or role, I didn't really know who I was. I kind of learned that like the person that I built this year is who I am and like plays into who I want to be, but it doesn't mean that I'm like defined by what I do. I also just want to say, as a reminder to myself and anyone out there who's kind of struggling with like, what do I do right now with my life? That is totally okay, and it's all part of the process of kind of just like living life. And a lot of things are definitely uncertain, but at the same time, everything in life is kind of uncertain. So I feel like there's a little bit of peace in that. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. So if you have any requests for types of videos you'd like to see, please leave it in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. And I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, nighttime, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!